stocks, bonds, commodities, crypto. This is your weekly investment roundup from Key News. Stock markets across the globe this week have been hitting all-time highs. That's the second week in a row the S&P 500, Nasdaq, Dow Jones, Russell 2000 and Canada's TSX all reached record levels. Investors brushed aside political noise from the US government shutdown, with the biggest US gains from the small-cap stocks of the Russell 2000 index. Even hotter north of the border, though, was Canada's TSX, with a nearly 2.5% jump. Over the past 12 months, too, the TSX has gained more than almost all US stock markets, with only the tech-heavy Nasdaq keeping up. Even so, the S&P 500, Dow Jones and Russell 2000 indexes have all posted above-average annual gains, which is a decent result considering the sharp drops caused by tariffs towards the beginning of the year. On the other side of the Atlantic, stock markets did even better, with the UK's FTSE 100 also hitting its all-time high on Friday. It wasn't the best performing of the biggest European markets this week. That title belonged to Switzerland's SMI index, gaining nearly 5% after a disappointing fall last week. France's CAC 40 and Germany's DAX 30 also delivered strong week-on-week returns of over 2.5%. Over 12 months, it's the DAX 30 that's powered ahead of the rest, gaining nearly twice as much as the FTSE 100. In fact, the DAX has been the best performing of all the world's major stock markets over the past year. And there was another all-time high in Asia-Pacific markets, with Japan's Nikkei 225 reaching its highest mark on Friday too. Despite that, it was actually the weakest among the world's major stock markets over the past 7 days, with less than a 1% gain, just behind India's Nifty 50. China's Shanghai Stock Exchange did better, but it was Australia's ASX 200 that led stock market gains in the region, with a 2.25% rise. Despite the relatively poor showing this week, the Nikkei 225 still leads Asia-Pacific markets over 12 months. Its nearly 19% gain beats most North American and European indexes. The opposite end of the scale, the Nifty 50 has been the worst performing major market in that time and the only one posting negative numbers. Bond investors haven't been as optimistic this week, with yields pulling back across the globe. In the US, the 10-year Treasury yield fell, driven by worse-than-expected jobs data and concerns about economic growth. The 2-year Treasury dipped as demand for safer assets increased, while 30-year yields slipped as investors grew cautious about the direction of long-term US fiscal policy. Yields on 10-year tips and Canadian government bonds also eased. In the UK, government bond yields also fell but still remain among the highest in the developed world. Yields in France, Italy and Germany also dipped, but there's still a significant risk premium for French and Italian bonds over German bonds. Asia-Pacific is one of the few places where there were rising bond yields this week. Japanese government bond yields climbed amid easing central bank support and inflation pressures, while in India they nudged up as investors reacted positively to the Reserve Bank of India's unchanged interest rate. Commodities now, and gold has surged to record levels yet again, continuing its climb for the 7th week in a row. Gold's been boosted by US policy uncertainty and US dollar weakness. Silver also kept climbing higher, riding strong industrial demand, and is nudging closer to its all-time high. Oil prices dropped this week with both WTI and Brent down around 7% on oversupply concerns and global growth worries. Natural gas prices jumped for the second week in a row due to supply pressures. Over the past 12 months, gold and silver have both been surging, far outpacing stock market gains. Natural gas is up too, while both WTI and Brent are both significantly down compared to this time last year. Let's take a look at what's been happening in the world of cryptocurrency. It's been a strong week for the big names. Bitcoin came close to breaking through its August all-time high. The world's most popular cryptocurrency closed Friday at over $122,000, jumping 11.5% over 7 days. That didn't even come close to this week's biggest gainer among the top non-stable coins, BNB. It leapt nearly 24% to reach its highest ever price on Friday, while Solana and Ethereum both also posted weekly gains higher than Bitcoin. XRP didn't quite hit double digits for the week, but still remains miles ahead of the pack over 12 months, approaching a 500% gain. Holders of Bitcoin and BNB will be pleased to see them more than double, while Ethereum's 92% gain and Solana's 70% rise are still the envy of virtually every other asset class. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next weekly investment roundup.